like we outlined, this is a film about human relationships. And while there's something almost comical about a person writing other people's love letters to each other, almost in a way that we would outsource creative work to artificial intelligence, nothing snide there about the use of AI to do a creative person's job.
Yeah,
But
right.
nonetheless, it is interesting that we open with a person writing something as personal as a love letter to
Yeah.
people that he's not in love with, but that's the meat and potatoes. This is a
Yeah.
story about relationships, human
Hmm.
relationships. And there's an irony that a guy going through a divorce is the best that could be at the company writing a love letter,
Yeah.
and how he's able to
Yeah, I love that.
write a love letter for another person better than he could for his own wife who he's divorcing.
Yeah.
Which brings it full circle at the end when he has to write a letter to Catherine himself in his own voice.
Right. And for
But
folks that
this
stay tuned, we will cover that in the final sequence and final image later. Yeah.
but yet this tells us everything.
Yeah.
This is about human relationships, and it's about love.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that phrase, human relationships. I mean, it's not interesting because they are humans, but the reason that it's striking to me is because it makes me think about Samantha, who
Mm.
we're going to talk about, now that we're, uh, you know, into the movie a little bit here. Samantha is she's she's not human, of course. She's built by humans and she's programmed and so on. But there's this question of, does she take on humanity in her? Does she become human? Is love exclusive to humans and humanity? And she is just an artificial sort of being, but she's tapping into something that exclusively belongs to humanity. Or is love just ripe for the picking from any entity at all that has a consciousness? Of course, it could be argued that perhaps Samantha doesn't have a consciousness. She there's the I do want to go into scenic view. I'm very tempted, but it's just this this notion that you're saying this is about human relationships. I think I want to get into that a little bit later. About whether Samantha is human or not. I just want to keep it to the opening image for just a second. In this opening image, you have Theodore, basically the cover of the poster. I sort of feel like the poster is just his character, like in this sort of same shot scale, close up. And he's just sort of he's looking down the barrel of the lens in the close up in the poster, but in the film, when you start out with that shot, it's him sort of looking out and thinking contemplatively. Now, I like the double meaning that I think this implies, that upon rewatching the movie, you really kind of notice it. But first of all, he's just thinking about what the hell he's going to write for this person that he doesn't know personally, I imagine, right? He's doing his job. But he's also equally contemplative about himself and his own situation and his own relationships. And I really like that the film boils that character down to this guy in the close up that we're meeting, that's being exposed to us. Our first impression of him is a man looking not into the camera. In the movie, he looks away from the camera, and yet his face is, square, point blank, should be staring at us, but he's looking away. And it's almost as if, like, this is a portrait of his consciousness, of how his mind works. You know, he's constantly doubting himself. He's constantly confused. He's thinking. He's meditating, and I just kind of get that from this. And it's really cool. And there's a pretty shallow depth of field, right? So his face is in focus in this first image, and everything else is out of focus behind him. So it's like Jones is saying, this is what this guy's, brain is. This is how he thinks, and this is what his character is. And then everything that comes after it, I like what you said. He's built a world, Jones, that is,
Yeah.
that there's something that's disconnected about all these people, like they carry these iPhone like things around. Obviously they can communicate with each other at any time. They can ask their little AI buddies anything or have strike up a conversation, whatever, at any time. And yet they're so disconnected. I mentioned a book that just came out by Yuval Noah Harari, who's an incredible historian and philosopher. And his newest book is called Nexus. And Yuval is not paying me to say this. I just love his work and I love him. And it's about information systems from the Stone Age all the way to now, to AI. And I mentioned this in the last episode in Ex Machina. And one of the things that he talks about in that book when he gets to the AI section is about how right now, in 2024, we have the best information system ever. We have the internet. We're constantly online. We have our phones. The communication system, the information system is just absolutely has plateaued. And yet, by contrast, our conversation has completely crumbled, right? Our ability to converse with each other, to socially connect with each other, has deteriorated significantly in the face of the best, most, efficacious information system ever created by humans, right? That disparity is so interesting and terrifying to me. And I feel like Spike Jonze is one of these very prophetic and intuitive kind of directors that has this kind of hand on the pulse of humanity and what's happening socially and everything. And it's almost like he predicted that, isn't it? Like, one of the things I kept thinking about when I watched this movie, even this opening sequence gives it to us, is that, the banality of other people being paid to write what should be the most intimate and personal notes, communication from one person to another, to their loved ones, to their boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, wives, grandmas, sons, daughters. These are things that are like holy and sacred when it comes to expressing and communicating with other people, right? And just that idea of everyone being so connected in this world, having so much information, these operating systems, even before they were conscious in the time of the movie, it's like you could ask them anything and they'll just tell you a Siri-like answer. Like, you always know what everyone's doing. It's just you're constantly connected, but they can't write a damn home. They can't write a message to each other about how much they love them for their birthday. What could say the predicament that we're in more than that? And it was 11 years ago.
Yes, I definitely agree with you on that. There is an interesting counter that I would make to that, because I do agree with you on that take. But the flip side that I also felt that might have been unique, and this might have also been something that is part of that, techno future future techno optimism that I was talking about, is that because so many jobs were replaced by AI, or implied that it was replaced by things like artificial intelligence, the jobs that are available to humanity um, they are now opened up to different things, and in a way, this job that Theodore does is a job where he is part of their lives, and he could
Yeah.
say it better than they ever could. Like, he mentions about one couple, he says, "Oh, I've been writing their letters since they were in college."
Yeah.
And it's almost like he is this third person in their relationship.
Oh yeah, he does say that. He says like, "Oh, I've been writing letters for these people for 8 years or something."
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's almost like he's almost as significant to their relationship, and is aware and is invested in their relationship, as, a family doctor who you've been seeing for like 15 years.
Right.
For a couple who started seeing a family doctor because they got married, and they started going to this doctor, and then this doctor was also their GP, when they decided to have children, and then that
Yeah.
doctor also becomes their children's doctor.
Yeah.
That was one way I took that as well. But
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't disagree with what you're saying, that there is a lot of disconnection. It's just which direction we want to go with. And I think for me, I think I think we're both right here. I think my gut tells me that my take might have been the intended take, at least for Theodore's job. That might have been the more intended take when he wrote it. But with where we are today and the world that we are living in, it's more a sign of the disconnect amongst us. Especially when you see the shot of him on the train, everybody's on their phone. I'm like, I see that every day.
Yeah. Oh, don't we all? Yeah, look
That
at
was
any
the
driver on the freeway or any road, and they're just completely distracted on their phones or on that. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
that's terrifying, because at least when you're on a
Yeah,
subway, you can't kill somebody being on your phone. Um,
yeah. But what you just said actually
yeah.
made me think of something kind of interesting. This is a little bit of a strange takeaway and a theory. I didn't really think about it before, but just this idea, because it's the opening sequence and it's so
Mhm.
significant in that regard, because it's the first thing that we see. And what you just said, it makes me think that maybe these people that write the cards for other people, and we were talking about AI writing what people, can't write or something like that. It's almost like an inhuman, not inhuman, but a human in the sphere of humanity, not artificial intelligence, in the sphere of humanity representation
Yeah.
of AI. Because it's like it's almost like these people that write greeting cards are sort of avatars
Mhm.
for the AI relationship to us.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
know what I'm saying? Isn't that so interesting?
It
That
has
that it don't
become an
yeah.
analogous.
Yeah, and it foreshadows the AI that's to come in
Yeah.
the next part of the story.
Mm.
It's like it's someone that's doing something artificial, or at least you're creating artificial emotions for another person. And is there really a nickel's worth of difference between that and what AI does for like us when they write stories and narratives for us? They don't give a crap about what the character arc is or what the emotion is. It's just all sort of algorithms for what's going to be more effective, what's going to be more evocative. What plugs into the algorithm that says that this works for this story because it creates more tension or whatever it is, as opposed to like a human crafting and stitching each moment very like intuitively, and with so much care from moment to moment,
Yeah.
like you would for your brother or daughter or whatever if you were
Mhm.
writing a birthday card for them,
The-
because you know them. You're not guessing from images
yeah.
that you see on the screen, like, oh, I saw the chipped tooth on the image, so I mentioned the chipped tooth. That's how AI does it,
Yeah.
right? So he is almost like an avatar for AI in this first scene.
Oh,
It's wild.
in a modern context, watching this film as a time capsule in a way,
Yeah.
and as a predictor, this is 100% um, a semi allegory for using ChatGPT to
Yeah.
write literally anything. The only
Yeah.
difference that I would say that we could absolutely argue about for probably hours until it turns into the ending of that one Kevin Smith movie where they didn't have enough money to have the apocalypse actually happen. Um, Red State, that's the movie.
Red
Um,
State.
the only difference between what this essentially represents today and what it is in the film is that Theodore Twombly is a real person, and he, like he said, having written one couple's letters for several years, close to a decade,
Mm-hmm.
I would argue that he has a human connection. He has an investment in this. If he's been writing their
Right.
letters for that long, he
Sure.
cares about these people. And he is going to think very carefully about what he's going to say and what he's going to write, because he himself has the same emotions as the people who are reading these letters. That is the
Sure.
distinction I would make. But from an analogous
Okay.
standpoint, like, yeah, they are outsourcing their letters to have somebody or something else write them. Like, that is
Yeah.
100% a prediction that became eerily true.
Yeah.
The difference is just who or what is doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
ChatGPT, because the thing with ChatGPT too, or having an AI model write, like, if we were to do an exact one-to-one, you would have to say, I want you to do XYZ. Here are the photos. This is a love letter. And now we don't know what the relationship they have with Theodore is. And we don't know what the pay structure is and the pay scale.
Yeah. Yeah.
This might be a thing where it's you pay for a love letter, and if you want revisions, you have to pay more.
Yeah.
But they might be so enthralled with Theodore's writing that it might just be I want you to wish my wife a happy anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe mention this. And Twombly, spits it back out. But it comes off to me like Theodore just gets to freehand what he writes to his clients.
Mm-hmm.
Versus having to tell ChatGPT explicitly what you want to talk about.